Now, do I know better? Yes, absolutely. Am I going to do it anyway? You know the answer to that. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we are going to revisit a classic Legacy card, Dark Depths, but in a very new way. Felix has asked me to brew a Mutated Cultist Dark Depths list that also plays Eldrazi. So let's talk about the reasonable side of the equation here and the crazy person side that's very fun. So, this is another one of those Eldrazi from Modern Horizons 3. I think this symbol is specifically the Commander deck. I've played against that precon. That precon slaps. Anyway, when you cast this spell, remove all counters from up to one target permanent or opponent. The next spell you cast this turn costs one less for each counter removed this way. And it's also a Death Touch body to boot. In a handful of my videos, on both sides of the table, we have seen Sowing Mycospawn's ability to fetch up a land on cast as being very powerful. And this is an on-cast way to remove all of the counters from your Dark Depths and produce a 20/20 creature. And that is pretty cool. But the dream is then to cast something that costs like 10 mana for free. And this is what is sometimes called win more, which I honestly think is not really a good term, right? Because win more in the Magic community is used in a negative way, when in reality, win more, well, of course you would like to win more, right? What people say, or rather what people mean when they say win more is like, it is unnecessary. You don't actually need to do that thing to win the game. So I had a lot of trouble brewing this one. And the primary reason for that is your giant Eldrazi creatures that you are going to want to put in your deck so that you can do the thing are not going to be good unless you have the Sowing Mycospawn and the Dark Depths, at which point you have already made a 20/20, which hopefully you could just like protect and win the game. So from the get-go, you either have to like go some weird reanimator or show and tell wet deck sort of situation to make it so that those giant creatures have a second utility, or you just have to accept that, like, hey, I have this fringe thing that's really cool that is going to line up sometimes. And I'm going to go the second route for this deck. I had a really hard time finding a starting point for brewing. I did some research on MTG Goldfish, MTG Top 8, some random Google results, a couple other sites, and there are no competitive finishes of any kind, not even a 5.0 deck list that I could find, that feature Mutated Cultist alongside something like Ulamog. So we're in the jank today. But I did find this really neat hybrid combo deck list. I believe the original build was by someone named Tarksar. I think this is an untested, Theorycraft build. So let's talk about what's going on here. We have a Pauper combo in the deck with Basking Broodscale. This is a 2/2 with Adapt 1, meaning I can pay 2 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on it if it doesn't have a +1/+1 counter yet. And whenever a +1 counter is put on it, I get a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn token that I can sacrifice for 1 colorless mana. This is a combo with Sadistic Glee, which is an aura. Whenever a creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on enchanted creature. So the idea is I enchant Sadistic Glee on Basking Broodscale. I sacrifice an Eldrazi spawn creature token, which triggers Sadistic Glee to get a +1/+1 counter. And like it just kind of creates a loop. As I get a +1/+1 counter, I get an Eldrazi, I sacrifice the Eldrazi, you get it. You've seen this sort of song and dance before. So we have this way to create an infinite-sized creature. We have Mutated Cultist for Dark Depths. We have Vampire Hexmage for Dark Depths. We have Thespian Stage for Dark Depths. We have Invasion of Ikoria as a 4-mana tutor for either Vampire Hexmage or Basking Broodscale. And we have the One Ring as something else that has synergy with Mutated Cultist. So we can draw a bunch of cards with the One Ring, cast our Mutated Cultist, and then rip the counters off the One Ring so we don't take a gajillion damage. we're just going to play a couple of Eldrazi. The Eldrazi are only good in very specific scenarios, usually where we line up Mutated Cultist plus Dark Depths, although sometimes the game will go on crazy long, and we can technically just cast one of these. Although it's going to be hard. This build doesn't have like Dark Rituals or Lotus Petals or anything that might make that better. And then we also have Agatha's Soul Cauldron as a way to do yet another infinite combo. So let's say that we have our giant Basking Broodscale, but it can't necessarily just win with combat damage immediately. If we have a Walking Ballista under Agatha's Soul Cauldron, we can then remove those +1/+1 counters to ping our opponent's face for lethal. So, is there too much going on in this deck? Yes. Is it maybe the most interesting way to try out this general idea of Eldrazi plus Mutated Cultist? I think so. And this deck is also going to have the Brewer's advantage in that most of our opponents are probably not going to necessarily know what is going on with our deck. Oh, and by the way, there's one Wasteland that didn't quite fit on the screen. Yeah, so let's go ahead and try this out. This should be fun, and hopefully we steal a few wins today. Folks, should you need your copies of Sadistic Glee and Basking Broodscale, check out toamagic.com. That's talesofadventure.com. Sorry, toamagic.com. I've been on vacation for a week, if we can call it that. Check out toamagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU while you're there to save 5% on your order, and on all of your orders, you always get free shipping, which is an awesome perk in my opinion. Plus the TOA staff, they're pretty cool. Let's see if we can cast some Ulamogs for free, huh? Okay. I think my hand does nothing. This is technically A plus B combo, but I need 4 mana and I need double green. I have neither of those things. I think I just mulligan this one. I think I will keep this awkward 6 and hope that this Underground Mortuary smooths things out a little bit. Warrior for Cavern of Souls, you've got it. Alright, we're on the right track now. I just got rid of one of those. Yeah, that can just go to graveyard. I'm going to get rid of this stop. I shouldn't need that while playing this deck. Most afraid of like Wasteland here. I imagine this is going to be some sort of aggro deck of some kind, and it's just a question of what am I facing down? Sure. So I'm going to end up taking 1 and going to 19. So I am in a things almost work scenario where I don't, I guess I could crop rotation away Thespian stage, actually. I'm still going to be a mana short. Dark Depths is not naturally producing mana right now. Awkward. I think Seasoned Dungeoneer is also a warrior. Yeah, there we go. My opponent's going to get their basic land. They failed to find a basic land. So I am going to take a decent amount of damage here. Oh, there's a broadside coming. Without mathing, I think that means I am just dead next turn. So I take 7 here, putting me to 12. And I would take 2 more from the Rabble Master, so I take 9 from that next turn, plus 3, plus broadside. If I fetch Dark Depths and block one of these things, it's just still not enough. Yeah, no, we just got aggroed down. And my mana situation is pretty bad currently. So I would like removal spells. Do I need to protect against Swords to Plowshares? Maybe. It does kind of feel like that's expendable, though. It feels like these are nice, but slow? I'm not sure that I can cut these. I might be on a assemble something eventually plan, and I'm just trying to survive the early game. It is 100% correct to cut these. Just let the record show. We're leaving them in all day. So we've got stage plus depths, but no mana to actually cast spells, no swamp for snuff out. This is perfectly reasonable. Probably just get rid of the Sadistic Glee here. So the plan is end of turn 1, probably crop rotation for Urborg, Dark Depths, make 2020. I don't know if I said that correct. Crop rotation for Urborg, play Dark Depths, have black, do the thing. We've got Warrior again for Cavern. And let's see what goes under here. We've got Spirit Guide. It is just a Goblin Rabblemaster. That's perfectly fine. Off another Spirit Guide. I'll go ahead and take one here. I guess I don't need to crop rotation now, right? I can just do it on my turn. I can take another draw, see if anything changes. I have multiple Urborgs in my deck, so I can't miss in that regard. Yeah. So, sack Bayou, pick up Urborg, play Dark Depths. Both of these now tap for black. Cast Hexmage. I am going to remove this now. My opponent's build is a little non-standard, so I don't want to randomly get got by something like Wasteland. This is worse if my opponent just has a white removal spell for this creature, and then they get through for a few extra points of damage. Sunbaked Canyon. Yep, this is exactly what I was talking about. So now the Vampire Hexmage does not wall Goblin Rabblemaster, so I take 4 more points of damage. And now I don't have mana to cast my spells, but I do have 33 life. So this is not the end of the world immediately, but obviously my opponent having a scaling threat in play against a large life total is not favorable to me. And that's a hell of a last card. This one is not a warrior, this is a barbarian. But I kind of imagine that we are going down here. So I am going to go ahead and play the Death Toucher right now. I'll remove all the counters from Caves of Chaos Adventurer. But between the bodies that are on board already and the Undercity Forge into Trap, I expect that this is going to be the end one way or another. Caves of Chaos Adventurer's on attack ability is also just very good here. I would be sending with everything here. It's totally fine to trade away one of these bodies when this much power is still just left over. It's just a plateau off the Caves trigger. This is the most damage. This is the thing that keeps cards flowing. This gets hit by Abrupt Decay, this doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and block the Trampler. Alright. Life's bad. Like, I'm just going to die. And a Fable as well. I don't have the mana for that. I guess I could play a Basking Broodscale jump block, take 6, +5, yeah. Alright. We absolutely just got run over here by an aggressive deck. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. Alrighty, mana does not work for this opening hand, despite having an A+B combo. Yikes. At this point, I'm unsure if we are sort of on bad variance regarding opening hands, or if the mana base of this deck is just beyond sketchy. Yeah, this is, like, actively good, right? So this is just crop rotation for Dark Depths, Vampire Hexmage it, and I can decide if I want to keep second Hexmage or a protection spell. I don't have mana for the protection spell anyway. I'm gonna keep second Hexmage. I'm probably just dead to a counter on crop rotation though. And we are playing against a counterspell deck. We have a decent fair beatdown plan B, but plan A is going to leave me low on mana. We're probably playing against Show and Tell, kind of given this player's history. I'm going to move to my own turn, take another draw here. I have drawn a Caracas, which is cool. So let's see if we get to just do the thing. I do. I will find a Dark Depths. I will cast Vampire Hexmage #1. And this is enough to get a response. Fully not expecting this to resolve. That is a daze, yes. That's why we kept 2 of these. And now my opponent will probably ponder, looking for their combo pieces, if they are even playing, show and tell. We might be in the metagame where everyone just kind of gives up and plays the easy best deck. Alright. Second verse, same as the first. We get to play around days this time, which is fantastic. I think at this point, I will play around a Wasteland and just pop this now. Alright, we are still on show and tell, sneak attack types of mana. My opponent junks a land. What you got? Rough. Yep. So now I have an A plus B combo, but not the ability to cast it. Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Now that's nice. I again need mana to get my creature into play. I should technically have removed a card from graveyard there. Hey! Don't mind that at all. Let's go get green mana. Cast a Basking Broodscale. I can go ahead and give it Vampire Hexmage's ability. I get a +1/+1 counter. Always yes, always yield. So now I can Sadistic Glee this and create an infinite-sized creature, but if I do that, I drop Caracas. So I think I do the Sadistic Glee next turn. If I get punished by, like, some red removal. The Lightning Bolt style card currently kills this. Although it won't once Agatha's Soul Cauldron untaps. Cool. Here we go. I guess I could make an infinite-sized token, right? Like, remove another Vampire Hexmage. Or no, it has to be the Broodscale still. So let's Sadistic Glee. Cool. I'll send in with my creature. After no blocks, sacrifice this for a mana. Always yield to that. Put a counter on this, and then I repeat this until it is lethally sized. Heyo, there we go. And in the hypothetical world where we also had an Eldrazi, I could use this mana to cast said Eldrazi. I have borderline nothing to do for this matchup. Snuff Out's not going to be effective against most of the creatures over there. Force of Vigor technically has text, but is pretty unimpressive. Also, my green count's not the highest because Basking Broodscale is devoid. I think I'm just ramming the game 1 deck again and hoping to take one of the next two. Sometimes we also just have a 10-10 in play. What does this hand do? Kind of nothing. I have half of a bunch of different combos. I don't have the green for this, so I'm not really counting that as anything. This has the ability to find Vampire Hexmage, not the ability to cast this for a reasonable number. I would rather go to 5. Well, this doesn't look great. I have both my colors on 5. I am going to say that that's enough for this to be okay. I guess I'll throw back this. Hand's not good, though. Like, objectively just not good. And I'm relatively far behind immediately. I will just get this tapped land out of the way. That's all I've got. Let's see what my opponent's got for me. Oh, we go now. Oh, it's Arcane Artisan. I haven't seen one of these in play in a hot minute. Caracas is very good. Wasteland is also very good. I think I just hit the Ancient Tomb this turn and hope they don't have another. I think that's my easiest way to pull ahead here. And then next turn I can play and just like leave up Caracas. This is not something that I really want to do forever, but I don't have much of a choice about it right now. This is a slow but relatively powerful ability. We've got a Broodscale now. I'm going to get my tapped land out of the way, I think, rather than play this. Yeah, I think it's more important for me to start selecting for a Dark Depths or, I guess, Sadistic Glee. I say no to that. We've got movement end of turn, which is presumably an Arcane Artisan activation. This can be pretty bad even if I answer the token, right? Like, say it's an Atraxa. That Atraxa trigger happening is, pretty bad. Oop. Cursed Totem? Wow. And Magus of the Moon? Fuck. And Sneak Attack Atraxa? We're dead. Wander, Sneak Attack City, Magus, Cursed Totem. Yeah, no, that's bad. So this is kind of just a matter of like, how does my fuck? Yeah. I guess I will put in the Brood Scale. Yeah, no, okay, no. Next game. So now I know that Magus of the Moon is a thing and Arcane Artisan is also a thing. That probably tips the scales into making Dismember playable. Some of this slower stuff probably goes. I don't think this 24 land mana base is particularly good at casting the 4-drops. Feels like these are just getting stuck in my hand. I'm going to get rid of 2 of these. Again, I don't think I'm interested in the Force of Vigor, despite the fact that they do have relevant text in the matchup. Yeah, I just lack the ability to cast my spells. Like this says A plus B combo with redundancy, but can't cast them. Nope. So this has lands and spells. I have crop rotation for Karakas, if that's a thing that I care about. Until I get to 4 mana, it doesn't have an A plus B. I'm going to go to 5. So if crop rotation resolves, I have a turn 2. That is risky, but perfectly fine. I think I am going to Crop Rot in my opponent's upkeep to play around Force of Negation. So I'm just going to fire this off immediately. Dark Depths. Nowadays can still hit Hexmage, and that wouldn't be great. The one card that I have left in my hand would not be castable, but we are here to attempt to jam. So that's what we're going to do. Don't love seeing a response. Okay, it's Brainstorm. It's in play. So we're scared of Ancient Tomb into Show and Tell, or equivalent. I mean, yeah. Take my 2020. Show me your free answer to a 2020. I literally don't believe that we won. We're on the scoreboard. We did it. Okay. I'm going to keep this one. I have good mana. I'm on the draw. I get to look at extra cards. Might get run over. That doesn't do a lot right now. Let's surveil. Let's try to form a plan. That is not what I am looking for right now. That's too slow. I need to make it to 4 mana for the One Ring. I'd like to find my other side of one of the 2 A plus B combos that are in my hand. Oh, this is weird. So this is 4 mana, but not the ability to play something to power up Eldrazi Mimic? Oops, all Mimics. Hopefully I don't just, like, take 15 next turn, though. So that means that one of those 2 Eldrazi Mimics... Oh, no, was in hand last turn, but Eye of Ugin must have been the draw for this turn, then. Okay, no, that makes sense. All right. Let's play some Cannon Fodder, and hope I don't get attacked for literally 20 when my opponent plays Reality Smasher. So there's all the mana in the world. Damage report, Captain. Well... I guess technically it is not Reality Smasher, but damn. So I can block and absorb 6 damage. I have to stay alive, because I am at 18 already. I'm dead to any... Well, I am dead to Endless One hitting me. I can play a land. I don't have the mana to make the 20/20. Even if I do, that doesn't matter. I'm still dead. We fully just got run over. And this is where this sort of stuff helps out. The Abrupt Decay is kind of the sketchiest of the lot. It's not going to hit everything. Probably don't need Quick Reflexes all that much. I would need 5 more cuts. I said I wasn't going to cut these. I'm going to honor that. I think these are too slow. Walking Ballista is technically a removal spell, but feels expendable. Okay. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. So Surveil land on turn 1, Broodscale on turn 2, Sadistic Glee into theoretical turn 3 kill. I like it, and I have some removal ability as well. Okay. This potentially means that I'm going to eat something like a Thought-Knot Seer on turn 2, which does a pretty good job of messing with my hand. Yes! Yes! Big fan. And now if my opponent Thought-Knot Seers me, I get left with either Sadistic Glee or Mutated Cultist, both of which threaten a win in different capacities. A Disruptor Flute, sure. Naming Thespian stage. Well, I don't have that right now, friend. I'm gonna do some sicko shit here. I'm gonna love it. No! My friend! Oh well. Mutated Cultist anyway. But no infinite-sized Walking Ballista immediate kill. Aw. Aw. So, do the thing. X is currently 5 on this, since it costs 10 less. I will immediately just ping these mana dorks. Call it a turn. I mean, that was pretty good for a turn 3. Is that the Eldrazi we wanted? No. Is that the same spirit? Yeah. Sadistic Glee also kind of a combo with Walking Ballista. Yeah, annoying, but it occurs. A Vampire Hexmage. So crop rotation or Dark Depths. Dark Depths Hexmage. I think it's just better to not give my opponent all that extra mana, though. So we'll ping an Eldrazi spawn, which immediately just replaces the counter. And we'll do the same thing again. So the real question here is, do I just crop rotation for Wasteland and give up the 2020? I don't think so. I think I want the 2020 next turn. Snow-covered wastes? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's actively good, but it's happening. And I don't need to crop rotation immediately in case I just, like, draw a Dark Depths or something. So, crop rotation. 4 Dark Depths. Vampire Hexmage. Sacrifice on my Dark Depths. So, a creature dies, so I get a counter here. I deal no damage to my opponent if I attack, so I won't attack. And now my opponent needs to find a third Kozilek's command, which is not impossible, but it's tough. 5 mana towards Eldrazi spells. Okay, I mean, they did it again. So they are sacrificing these for mana, meaning that I do get additional counters on Walking Ballista. Nope. Disruptor Flute. I'll respond. I'll ping and kill this Eldrazi spawn and get my counter. I am fine with my opponent now naming Walking Ballista. I will just hit them in the face with it. And if I draw a green mana source, I can just remove this and probably finish my opponent off pretty easily. Alright, they do name my Walking Ballista. It's another Sadistic Glee. Well, I'm punching my opponent in the face. And then I think in preparation for drawing green mana, I just do this. My opponent is going to lose 2 life. Luckily, a bunch of my threats here are colorless, so they won't be removed by the 7 mana Eldrazi. Intellect Devourer? No, that's not right. Ooh, that's a bounce spell. That's very good here. Sure. This is scary now. Hit that heralds the end. I don't care too much about that. So, I'm always playing that as a land. And now it's like, what do I want to do regarding Walking Ballista, Abrupt Decay, attacks, all that jazz? I think I play a 1/1 Walking Ballista. I think I do attack. My opponent is on a relatively short clock from their 1 ring if they do not play another. And sort of annoyingly, the Death Touch is not visible on this card unless you zoom in on it. Oh. Cool. Yeah, so I'll just trade with 1, Abrupt Decay the other, leave my opponent without creatures rather than unlocking Walking Ballista. I guess this is getting +1/+1 from the other creature here. I guess I just Abrupt Decay the Lord then. Bam. Then this is a 2/2. So I actually get to keep my creature. Got a 2-for-1 with my Abrupt Decay. Are you drawing cards with the 1 ring? You are. So this is 3 damage. So I think my opponent is favored from this current position, but it's definitely scary. Where's my Sadistic Glee, though? Opponent is probably about to make so many Eldrazi spawn. Endless one. So that's going to be 2 direct damage to me as my opponent makes the spawn. Basking Broodscale. So I can attack and force a block of some kind. How many Abrupt Decays did I end up with in this deck? I think I did 3. So I have 2 more that could just kill this, and then playing Walking Ballista instantly kills my opponent. I think I am just going to play this creature, though, and pass the turn. My opponent has to play a new copy of the One Ring or kill me from 17. Those are their 2 choices. So they're kind of all in this turn. And it is possible that I can die. It would probably have to involve a second Glaring Fleshraker or the 4th Kozilek's command. Alright, so this is just a small endless one to trigger the Fleshraker. Okay, it is a new copy of the One Ring. So my opponent probably can't draw cards with it. Oh, it's a Mystic Forge. No, that's definitely scary. So I've got this Walking Ballista that represents the final point of damage. But I would have to get rid of this. I think I am just adapting my creature here. And then this gets me to my own copy of the One Ring next turn, or gives me 4 mana for Abrupt Decay plus Activate. If I attack with both of these, my opponent needs to block with 2 creatures, but then I open myself up for a larger backswing, so I think I am just chilling. Oh, also there was a new One Ring cast. Alright, let's see if I die. I take some direct damage from the Fleshraker. 2 for each creature my opponent casts. Oh wow, they are drawing a card with the One Ring. That mean you just have the 3rd copy of the One Ring already? It does. My opponent gets to fog for another turn. It seems like there's more coming still. Maybe not. Alright, it seems like it's my turn. How does this read? Is it the next one? It's the next one. Cool. So, 1, 2, 3. Oh fuck, Walking Ballista is still Disruptor Fluted, so I don't just kill immediately. That's fine, though. So, Mutated Cultist. Cast trigger will remove everything from the Dark Depths still. So my next spell is 10 cheaper. I will go ahead and cast the One Ring for free. I get protection from everything. I am 2, 4, 6. So my opponent could Kozilek's command for X equals 6, deal 6 damage to me directly. My opponent has a soul land. Oh, 7 damage to me directly. I killed him in the air next turn. If not for the next Kozilek's command, the next Kozilek's command might kill me immediately. I have some tapped lands that I care about. I think I'm going to pass the turn and not draw with the One Ring immediately. I will leave myself with the option to do so. So, what counterplay do you have for that? Sure. I don't actually take this damage. I'm just going to start yielding to all this stuff. Sure. At this point, I think my opponent is just trying to churn through the top of their deck to find something. Note that this 0/0 endless one will remain in play due to the It That Heralds the End over here. Okay, this is the point where my opponent is drawing with the One Ring. They might just die to that. Okay. That was a surprisingly tough game. So, with my opponent having Mystic Forge and the One Ring, how do I feel about Collector Oof? When I also have the One Ring and Walking Ballista and Agatha's Soul Cauldron. A little sketch. My Walking Ballista was really good that game. I think I want the other one. Maybe at the expense of one of those? The Legolas's quick reflexes is like very reasonable versus Kozilek's command. Again, the answer is just like cut a couple of Ulamogs. But no, not this time. I'm not going to do this. Play one of these. I'll play one of them. So this hand pops off if I draw Crop Rot, Dark Depths, the black enchantment that I keep forgetting the name of. I think this is a fine keep. Removal spells are also just reasonable. I'm on the draw, and I also have a Surveil land to help me select. Hey, Sadistic Glee. I just do my thing on turn 3. If I don't Wasteland. But I think Wastelanding and blowing up a Soul Land is just really good. I'm going to do it. This resets the game with my opponent having a 2/2 in play, which is like not the most favorable thing in the world for me. But I think I'm good with it. Sure. The beatdown is coming. Snuff Out's not bad. I will just keep that on top as literally another land. So my opponent plays a Soul Land. That's 4, 5, 6. I don't think I need to Snuff Out immediately. We want to have the option to take out a Glaring Fleshraker. So we'll take out one of these. It does just, immediately pay for itself. I take 2. A land would be cool. Pay off this initial Wasteland play. Bah. That's the Fleshraker that I wanted to kill with Snuff Out. Say la vie. I think saving the life myself is more important than... Sorry, I think playing Yavimaya so I don't take damage from this fetch land is more important than making my opponent potentially not take some damage off Ancient Tomb at some point over the course of this game. Alright. I will take that direct damage. And then we'll see if I die. Mind Stone. Sure. 4 mana. The One Ring. Yeah. That's pretty good. Does this exile? When you cast this spell, exile 2 target permanents. Fantastic. So, guess I adapt first. Get my +1/+1 counter. Make my Eldrazi spawn. Sadistic Glee. Here. Now we're going to make a whole bunch of mana. Alright, I could keep going with this forever, but it gets really boring. So we're going to say that that's enough. Let's cast an Ulamog here. I will exile the Fleshraker and I think the One Ring still. Yeah, sure, you can draw a card out of it. That's fine. And I'll call that a turn. Oh, yeah, and I can just attack with this. Oh, right, was there a One Ring trigger? Right, yeah. Oops. Mind Stone is drawing a card by sacrificing an Eldrazi spawn. Sure. Another city. My opponent can cast a larger spell here. Well, we've gotten Ulamog into play multiple times today, I think, so I guess mission accomplished. My opponent can exile my creature, make a bunch of spawns. Sure. So you want to bounce my Ulamog. Annoying. So I think I will go ahead and do that. Love to top deck a Dark Depths here. It is just another land. So I can go 1, 2. I guess I need black. I guess to do what I want, I need black, black, black. So this does need to fetch. I'll Mutated Cultist. I don't get to remove +1/+1 counters from anything. Then I will play a first strike creature. Pass the turn. I think my opponent's favored here. They don't have very many cards. But I think they are going to top deck better on average than I will. Yeah, I'll block with my Death Toucher all day. Opponent in a small amount of danger of timing out. Alright, I will line my Death Toucher up against that. Okay, opponent is chilling. Abrupt Decay is reasonable. This is perhaps not my premium target, but it's what I've got. Alright, cool. I do not have a second Surveil land, so this probably just chills in play. Ooh, many Ancient Tombs here. This is probably the 7 mana exile Eldrazi. Oh shit, it's a Walking Ballista. Obviously quite good. Alright, so you ping my Hexmage. I will remove all my counters, or sorry, I will remove all the counters from Walking Ballista in response, and you can send 2 damage at my face. What? Or not? Okay. We take those. Sadistic Glee. Not doing a lot right now. My opponent's lands are scary for them. They get to probably tap them one more time. They need to play a large creature that can kill me in one go. Sure. Oh, my Yavimaya. Yeah, you remember a whole bunch of turns ago when I said, like, this is a turn late. I can get a Dark Depths or a Thespian Stage or a Karakas. I've used my Wasteland. I am waiting a turn here, hoping not to die to my opponent playing a large Eldrazi. Cool, not dead. 3. Alright, is there any timeline in which I am not getting Dark Depths? Yes, the timeline in which I draw Thespian Stage. I do not thin the deck right now. Yes. I will cast a Walking Ballista for X equals 2. We'll put a Sadistic Glee on it. I will ping your Eldrazi Mimic. I will ping your Eldrazi Spawn Token. And pass. Both of the Ancient Tombs now cannot be tapped for life, or my opponent dies. Yes. That is an endless one. That resolves. My opponent is at 4 life. Fantastic. Let's make a green mana there. So I will Crop Rotation, sacrifice Verdant Catacombs, get a Dark Depths, tap it for mana, make black mana, Mutated Cultist, remove all of the counter from Dark Depths. It's funnier this way. Make my 20/20. I wasn't done. I wasn't done. Okay, like, we have done the thing, folks. You know, when this deck has reasonable opening hands, it's actually pretty fucking cool. This doesn't do anything right now. I think I'm just going to go ahead and put that into my graveyard. So the plan is turn 2, Basking Broodscale, turn 3, adapt, Sadistic Glee, and then kill my opponent directly with a giant Walking Ballista. Cool, we dodged Chalice. That's nice. Crop Rotation is cool if my stuff doesn't work out. I am not going to play the Urborg to force my opponent to take damage off Ancient Tomb. Let's just play the Broodscale and pass. Turn 3 kill incoming? I hope so. It is an Eye of Ugin, so Thought-Knot Seer could happen. It does not. The Kozilek's command can just kill my creature. So I think I am not going for the combo. Let's send in... I don't know, if I force the Kozilek's command to be used here, then I just have a 20/20 as a backup plan? Alright. I guess I'm good with that. Okay, yeah, so there is the Kozilek's command. I don't have a protection spell. So that occurs. Kozilek's command just kind of uniquely well positioned versus my deck. I get to dodge things like Thought-Knot Seer now. My opponent casts something like that, I just Crop Rotation in response, and then I have Thespian Stage next turn. That occurs. It is a Thought-Knot Seer. I will respond. Crop Rotation. If I sacrifice the Urborg, it denies my opponent some mana, and I don't need the Urborg anymore. Let's do that. Get Dark Depths. I'll end up taking 2 damage from this, and we'll see which card my opponent takes. Alright. I think we will be making the 20/20 on my own turn to play around Wasteland. I don't really need another one of those right now. Copy Dark Depths and do the thing. Keep the one with no counters. Call it a turn. So we have dodged Wasteland. This plays into the 7 mana exile a monocolored permanent Eldrazi, though. My opponent has 2, 4, 5, 6 towards that right now, though, so like they are not currently showing the ability to do that. It's the bounce Eldrazi instead. Play around one thing, get punished by another. These are not always in the main deck. Take some damage from the pings here. We get hit for at least 6. Mox Diamond. That might just be a burn spell. No, discarding a city. Oh, wow. Eldrazi Linebreaker is a lot of additional damage here. So I go to 12. Combat. Oh, no, they're not done. What a fucking turn. Good God. How much am I actually going to take here? So both of those will be able to attack as 12 power creatures. What the fuck? Yeah, so it did not matter when I played that 2020. Like, even if I block for 12, I am still very dead. Okay, I need removal spells. What did I do previously? I don't know, because I flip-flopped back and forth. I think I cut these for being slow. Get the first 4 removal spells. And I'm kind of torn on this. Soul Cauldron is kind of slow. Oh, maybe with the bounce guy as well, I do need these. Get rid of both. Walking Ballista Sadistic Glee is reasonable. Go down 1 crop rotation. Not in love with it. Yeah, I don't really want to remove anything else. I guess I'm playing 1. So this is just 2 removal spells, 1 portion of an A plus B combo. I'm not super excited about this. I think I will keep it. I'm going to play Verdant on turn 1. If my opponent does not play a turn 1 creature, I can get a Surveil land. If they do play a turn 1 creature, I can dismember. What you got? Or love to snag like a glaring Fleshraker here. Yes. Cool. Yeah, this is a premium dismember target, although I am starting this game at 15 life, I believe. Okay, the Phyrexian first. Take it out. Crop rotation's an okay draw. It's not doing a lot right now. I think I am just going to go ahead and put my own creature into play. I could Abrupt Decay Mox Diamond, but I feel like my opponent plays another Soul Land or another land of any nature and just continues on their way too often. So Eldrazi, like Eldrazi Linebreaker, are on the table for this turn, so is Thought-Knot Seer. Is a Kozilek's command, sure. Again, happy to see that card go early on, as it's really good against my stuff that matters. So this is end of turn crop rotation for Dark Depths. Hope to draw another land to Mutated Cultist, make my 2020. Again, could Abrupt Decay this. Think I'd rather save it. My lands were slightly different. I could think about Abrupt Decay plus Wasteland. That's fine. I will Abrupt Decay that as soon as another spell goes on the stack. Cool. Boop. Any land is great. That particular land is very strong. So we live the dream here. So Mutated Cultist. Remove all the counters from Dark Depths. Cast Ulamog. Exile. Land. Yeah. Alright, we're doing the thing. We're doing the thing. Deck's perfect, no changes. I think this is a reasonable hand. It is a touch slower than I would like on the draw, but I do have a couple of weird options. Like, I can immediately crop rotation for Wasteland to blow up a Soul Land if I feel like that is a good thing to do based on what my initial hand looks like. I probably don't want to do that. Initial Soul Land, there's the Mox Diamond, and there's a Fleshraker. So this turn could be disastrous for me if I don't Wasteland, but I think I always just want to turn to Abrupt Decay this. Like, there's a decent portion of the time where I do Wasteland this, and then it just doesn't matter. My opponent just goes another Soul Land into a threat, and life's bad. I think I just don't set myself back the land and try to play, like, Abrupt Decay into this, into the One Ring to help stabilize. Alright, there is a Linebreaker. Obviously very powerful here. I'm going to take 2 direct damage. And like, the synergy between these cards is great. Ooh, it appears that my opponent might not have another land. Still just eating 8 damage. And they could just, like, not be sacrificing the city intentionally. Alright. Well, I drew the Wasteland naturally. So which one is scarier? They're both horrifying. I think Linebreaker's scarier. I think I am going to intend to get rid of that one. Although if a Kozilek's command goes on the stack, it's a different story. It seems like the city is about to go away, so opponent indeed might have had another land, so even if I wastelanded, bad things might have happened last turn. These are all on cast triggers, and that's the 6-mana version. I think I need to float a green, crop rotation, sacrifice the targeted land. I have to get another Bayou here, I think. Yavimaya make more sense? No, I don't want to make my opponent's mana better than it already is. Yeah, we'll get another Bayou. So I'm going to end up taking some damage. My opponent can get another Wasteland if they want. Yeah. I'm at 8. I'm going to Abrupt Decay the Line Breaker. That saves me a lot of damage this turn, because it means that this doesn't get to attack. And I technically should have done that before the Wasteland entered play. Because there's a 1 mana give your creature protection from spells or something with Overload. I forget exactly the text. But it's not good for me. Yeah, I think my opponent attacking multiple of my lands that turn just means that I'm out of this one. I don't think I am going to get to the 1 ring to help me stabilize. At that point, I'll just concede, because this exiles one of my lands, wastelands another one, and I am not in this game anymore. I've kept my opening hand. We have a turn to 2020 as an option, which feels pretty good. It would be really bad versus Wasteland. And my opponent is potentially playing a Wasteland deck. I've probably queued into, Reanimator or some other Psychic Frog pile of some kind here. Verdant Catacombs gives me some options. I think if I get Wastelanded, I want it to be this one. I think so. I'd rather keep my mana producing lands. Ponder's fine. So the cool thing here is if my Vampire Hexmage gets countered, I do just have the, air quotes, uncounterable Mutilated Cultist for turn 3. So that's cool. So attempt number 1. There is the days. And again, this is fine. Like, all according to plan. How about we top deck a nice colorless card, though? Surveil land is no big deal. Although we are starting to get to, like, Murktide Regent, fueled nonsense. 3rd cantrip of the game. Again, scared of Wasteland. Very fast Brainstorm. Ooh, that's a little more unfair than I would like. Cool. Nice. That's actually pretty huge. I am not going to fetch because it, opens me up to getting this land stifled. I can just tap it for black mana. So, bam. Remove all the counters from Dark Depths. Cast triggers OP. There's my 2020. Here's my 1/3. Here's my free copy of the 1 ring. Nice. Protection from everything gets me through a lot of opposing turns from a blue-black deck, not everything. Thassa's Oracle, for example, can still win the game through protection from everything. But, the Stormline sort of stuff is off. Yeah, this is looking like Doomsday. So, someone's dead in the next turn cycle most of the time. Is it me or is it them? Probably me. That's not great. Alright, so we've got a land drop. I imagine that with 3 mana here, it is very easy to kill me from this position. Yep. There's another cycle. We're already good to go as far as Thassa's Oracle is concerned. Well, damn. That's fine. So the bad news here is I don't really have much in terms of sideboarding that I can do. Like, I can Collector Oof to stop Lotus Petals. That's pretty easy to play around. Leyline doesn't really do a lot. Force of Vigor doesn't really do a lot. Decay doesn't do a lot. I could preemptively board in Dismember for some opposing sideboard jukes that could happen. The Psychic Frog type stuff. I think I'm just going to whack the submit button. So, This is not perfect, but it's fine. Actually, I guess I can crop rotation for Urborg, and it's a turn 2 attempt. Let's do that before Daze is live, I guess. In my opponent's upkeep to play around Force of Negation, I guess, even though my opponent's unlikely to be playing that. Sure. Let's do it. Get Urborg. So this taps for black mana, as will all other fetch lands, which is sometimes relevant for Doomsday. That's an Underground Sea now. And that gets to put Doomsday on top of library. Yep. This is good. This means I get to try 2 turns in a row. So attempt 1. We're in play. So I am afraid of my opponent having black land, dark ritual, and a card draw spell all at the same time. There's part of it. There's the Doomsday. Ah, shit. Alright, so there's the Ponder. So my opponent did have Dark Ritual plus land plus card draw ability. Guess I will let them continue. Ponder's less scary than Brainstorm, but is still very bad. Brainstorm just makes it easy. Ponder, they need to have something else in hand already. So LED plus Cycler has to happen here. Yeah. That should do it. Yeah, because they consider with 1 mana, and then Thassa's Oracle with the 2 remaining mana. Sure, that's fine. Yeah. That is very unfortunate. I feel like that was quite unlikely to all line up that way, but, you know, that's why you play Doomsday, right? Alright, in some ways this went better than I thought, and in some ways this went worse than what I thought. So let's talk about a couple of things. Number 1, I don't think the mana is great in this deck. Like, with 8 colorless lands and combos that require either black-black or preferably green-black in the same turn, and a tutor that requires green-green, I think you either need more lands or some other mana fixing, like Once Upon a Time type stuff. I hate Invasion of Ikoria. It is very hard to get to 4 mana for this deck, between you getting wastelanded and you using things like Thespian Stage and Dark Depths for their intended purposes. So I think the first thing that I would do is probably cut this. Having 2 different ways to like make this stuff free is pretty good. Walking Ballista Sadistic Glee is a combo of sorts that was relevant against the Eldrazi spawn tokens and would be relevant against, you know, elves, death and taxes, those sorts of decks. But ultimately, I think this is clunky. I believe I never got this to produce a creature. I believe I never used an activated ability off an Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I just have minimal selection in the deck list, which I don't like. The Agatha Soul Cauldron is theoretically good for matchups that go long, but I was just dying today, or my opponent was just dying today. Anything that helps smooth out the opening hands, though, is really good. So I think I would be interested in cutting these cards, and my mana's tight enough that it's like very hard to play patiently with Legolas's Swift Reflexes. So I think these guys over here are probably what's on the chopping block to smooth out the mana and add consistency in some capacity. There's potentially some tutors that you can play. Invasion of Ikoria just as a 4-mana tutor, though, is like very much not doing it for me. Maybe I didn't respect it enough as just something to combo with Vampire Hexmage throughout this league. And like I was treating this as a 4-mana card when I should be treating it as a 2-mana card. And like that's perfectly reasonable. Like, producing the 8/8 Reacher is fine, but I was viewing it primarily as my way to tutor out these pieces. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. Sideboard was okay. I think Force of Vigor is awkward. Again, some of your green cards are actually devoid, so you have very few cards to pitch for Force of Vigor. I think I would turn Force of Vigor into something else. The Abrupt Decays were quite good in this league. Would be good against Psychic Frogs, although we didn't run into any of those today. Yeah, so I think this one has problems, but is conceptually very cool and has like some overlapping combos. Shaky thumbs up. Like, what's here is a good start, and Felix, I hope you enjoyed. Should you find that you need some magic cards, check out toamagic.com. Use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order when you do, and let them know that they should keep supporting my content. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.